Have you ever imagined someone who was rejected by society, lived homeless, and even had to sell his best friend just to survive, yet became a global symbol of willpower and determination? Today, on Kunzy Podcast English, we will dive into the inspiring story of Sylvester Stallone, a man who turned pain into strength and dreams into reality. If you're looking for motivation to overcome life's challenges, Stallone's story is the most vivid proof of the power of perseverance and resilience. Let's start this journey right now. The painful beginnings, a flicker of fire in the darkness. New York, 1946. In a working-class neighborhood filled with dust and the blaring horns of traffic, a child was born into a world that didn't welcome him with open arms. From the very first moment, fate struck him with cruel precision. A birth complication left one side of his face paralyzed and his voice slurred, distorted. People said, "This child will never speak properly." And they were right, but only halfway, because he would never speak normally. He would speak in a voice the world would never forget. His childhood was no fairy tale, no magic, no prince to save him. Just the cold mornings filled with stares, whispers, and mocking laughter whenever he tried to speak. School became a battlefield. Friends were non-existent. He was isolated, cast out from every conversation, every game, as if he was an error in life's grand design. His parents divorced when he was still a child. That marked the beginning of his drifting years. Over 10 different schools, 10 new starts, 10 new classrooms where he was always the outsider. He never really belonged anywhere. In the quiet of his bedroom, he'd stare at the ceiling and whisper to the dark, "Why me? Why does everything have to be so hard?" But here's the miracle. It wasn't someone who came to save him. No one did. The miracle came from within. From those very wounds, from years of silence and rejection, a wild, impossible dream began to take root, to become an action star, a hero. A man the world would be forced to look at, to listen to, and never forget the voice they once dismissed. He wasn't handsome. He didn't have a clear voice, no privilege, no backup plan. But he had one thing the world couldn't take away, a belief in his own dream. What keeps a man moving when the world tries to silence him? It's when the dream inside you is louder than the noise around you. And that was just the beginning of a story no one believed, but the whole world would one day witness. The story of a man no one wanted to hear, who made the world rise and applaud. This is the journey of Sylvester Stallone. But if you've ever been broken, overlooked, or rejected, then this could be your journey too. And this is only the beginning. The dream is born. A fire ignites amidst the storm. In a world that had written him off, he found refuge in flickering images on a screen. Movies became his escape and his mirror. Among them all, one genre spoke to his soul louder than the rest: boxing films. Not because of the punches, but because of the pain. Because every fighter in the ring reminded him of himself. Broken, underestimated, but never backing down. Late at night, when the world slept and the streets outside went silent, he would stand in front of the mirror, practicing expressions, mimicking heroes, trying to find a voice in silence. Not just any voice, but his voice. The mirror never mocked him. The mirror listened. It reflected not his flaws, but his fire. At school, he threw himself into small theater plays, not for applause, but for survival. Every role was a rebellion against a world that told him he wasn't enough. On stage, he wasn't the awkward kid with a twisted lip and slurred words. He was anyone he wanted to be. Later, he studied drama at the University of Miami. It wasn't easy. his speech still drew laughter. But rather than hide it, he learned to act through emotion, through movement, through raw truth. If words failed him, his eyes wouldn't, his body wouldn't, his heart wouldn't. He wasn't the most skilled, not the most eloquent, but he had something rare, the willingness to be vulnerable in front of the world, to expose his wounds and wear them like armor. Because deep down, he knew dreams don't need permission. They only need persistence. And his dream? It was no longer a whisper. It was a roar waiting to erupt. This was the part where most people would give up. But for Stallone, it was the part where he leaned in, where a boy the world once pitied began to transform into the man the world would one day admire. The dream was born, not in applause, but in adversity, and it was just beginning to burn. Rejection and rock bottom. The darkest hour before the dawn. With nothing but a dream in his pocket and fire in his chest, he left everything behind and headed to New York. The city of lights, the city of chances, the city that breaks you before it makes you. But dreams don't pay rent. Nights were spent curled up on benches in bus stations, under flickering street lamps that didn't care who you were or what you hoped to be. During the day, he found shelter in public libraries, not to read, but to rest, to survive, to stay warm when the cold crept into his bones. Casting office after casting office slammed the door in his face. They said he didn't look the part. They said his voice was weird, his mouth was crooked, his face was wrong. Not marketable, not what Hollywood wanted. He was rejected, not once, not twice, but hundreds of times. Each no chipped away at his pride, but not at his purpose, because deep inside, the flame still burned. Small, but fierce. But when hunger knocked, even the strongest spirit trembles. Out of money, out of options, out of hope. He made the hardest decision of his life. He sold his best friend, his beloved dog Butkus, for $40 to a stranger outside a liquor store. Not because he didn't care, but because he did. Because Butkus deserved food, deserved better, and Stallone had nothing left to give. That moment, holding the leash one last time, watching his only companion disappear down the street, was rock bottom, not just in his career, but in his soul. But rock bottom isn't the end. It's the ground on which you rise. And from that darkest night, a script, a fight, and a miracle were about to be born, because the world hadn't seen the last of him. Not even close. Writing Rocky, when pain transforms into a masterpiece. The night was heavy with silence, but inside Stallone, a storm was raging. The moment he watched the legendary fight between Muhammad Ali and Chuck Wepner, something awakened deep within him. A spark of hope, a surge of raw emotion that demanded to be told. That spark ignited a flame so fierce that for 3 relentless days and nights, he locked himself away, refusing to sleep or eat, driven only by the urgent need to pour his soul onto paper. Every word, every sentence he wrote in those exhausting hours was a fragment of his own struggle, a reflection of his pain, his dreams, and his fierce determination to rise above. Rocky wasn't just a screenplay. It was Stallone's heart bleeding through ink, a story born from the ashes of rejection and loneliness. Rocky Balboa, the underdog boxer, was not merely a fictional character. He was Stallone's mirror. The battered fighter's bruises echoed the wounds Stallone carried inside, from the harsh judgments about his face and voice to the countless no's he heard from a world that refused to see his potential. Rocky's fight was Stallone's fight. The relentless battle to prove that even those cast aside can rise. that greatness can come from the most unexpected places. In this quiet crucible of pain and passion, Stallone created more than just a story. He crafted a beacon of hope, a testament to the human spirit's refusal to be broken. Rocky spoke to anyone who had ever felt invisible, who had ever been told they didn't belong. It was a raw, powerful anthem for the fighters in all of us, urging us to stand up, keep punching, and believe that destiny is not written for us, but by us. In the words and sweat of that screenplay, Stallone found not just a script, but a lifeline, proof that from the deepest struggles can come the most inspiring triumphs. The $300,000 test, when money couldn't buy the dream. In the whirlwind that followed the creation of Rocky, Stallone found himself at a crossroads that tested not just his resolve, but his very identity. Hollywood studios lined up, dazzled by the story's raw power and potential for success. They offered him what seemed like unimaginable sums of money, $125,000, then $250,000, and even $300,000, all just to buy the script outright. But there was a catch. None of these offers included the chance for Stallone to play the lead role. To them, he was an unknown actor with a twisted face and a strange voice, far from the polished stars they believed the film needed. This was the moment where dreams are either crushed or forged into steel. For many, the temptation would be overwhelming to take the money, the security, the instant validation. But Stallone was different. Rocky was not just a character on paper. Rocky was a reflection of his own fight through life's harshest blows. The film was his voice, his story, his battle-scarred heart made visible. To hand it over to another actor was to lose a piece of himself. It wasn't just about the paycheck anymore. It was about authenticity, integrity, and the burning desire to show the world who he really was. He stood his ground with unwavering determination, refusing to sell out his dream for a quick payday. Time and again, he rejected offers that would have made most men wealthy beyond their wildest hopes, because no amount of money could replace the chance to tell his story his way. His decision was more than stubbornness. It was courage. The courage to believe in his own worth when the world refused to. Finally, after months of uncertainty and countless rejections, a small studio took a leap of faith. They agreed to Stallone's terms. He could star as Rocky, the underdog fighter with a broken face but an unbreakable spirit. Yet, the price was humble, a mere $35,000 for the role that would soon catapult him to international fame. It was a fraction of the offers he had turned down, but it was priceless in what it represented. Stallone had chosen his dream over dollars, his truth over convenience, and in doing so, he ignited a flame that would burn brighter than any paycheck ever could. This moment was the ultimate test, not just of his script or his acting, but of his heart. Stallone proved that when you bet on yourself with unshakable faith, even the smallest victory can become the foundation of a legacy. Rocky was no longer just a movie. It was a symbol of relentless hope, a testament that sometimes the greatest success comes not from the size of the offer, but the size of your conviction. Reuniting with Butkus when friendship finds its way back. The moment Stallone finally saw a glimmer of success, his first thought wasn't of fame or fortune. It was of Butkus, his loyal canine companion who had been sold in the darkest days of struggle. That little dog was more than just a pet. Butkus was a symbol of unconditional love, comfort, and the few moments of joy that had kept Stallone's spirit alive during those lonely nights on the streets. With the money from Rocky, Stallone made it his mission to reunite with Butkus. It wasn't easy. He had to track down the man who bought his beloved dog and negotiate a price that felt almost unreal. $15,000. It was a hefty sum, especially after all the sacrifices Stallone had made, but nothing was too high a price to bring Butkus back home. When Butkus returned, it was more than just a reunion. It was a healing moment. The dog's presence on set during the filming of Rocky wasn't merely a cameo. It was a powerful reminder of the journey, the hardships, and the unbreakable bond that had carried Stallone through his darkest hours. Butkus became part of the story, a living testament to loyalty and friendship that transcended pain and hardship. This reunion wasn't just about a dog coming back. It was about reclaiming a piece of Stallone's heart, the very essence of why he fought so hard. In every scene where Butkus appeared, audiences could feel that silent strength, that deep well of love and resilience. It was a moment that spoke louder than words. No matter how far life pushes you down, the ties that matter most can always bring you back. Filming the underdog movie, crafting a dream on a shoestring budget. Making Rocky was not just about telling a story. It was an act of sheer defiance against every obstacle standing in Stallone's way. With almost no budget, no state-of-the-art equipment, and a tiny crew that believed in his dream more than their own comfort, they set out to capture something real, something raw and unpolished that Hollywood had forgotten how to show. The cameras were often handheld, the lighting was natural or improvised, and every frame breathed the true grit and struggle of life itself. This was a film born from scarcity, from hardship, from a refusal to give up. One of the most iconic moments, the run up the Philadelphia Museum steps, was filmed in a single, unrepeatable take. Stallone had one shot to pour every ounce of pain, hope, and determination into that climb. No second chances, no edits to hide the imperfections. His ragged breath, the pounding of his feet, the sweat dripping down his face, all of it was real. That one take became a symbol, a metaphor for every underdog who has ever fought to rise above their limits, to chase a dream when everything seemed to say stop. Every detail in Rocky screamed authenticity. The clothes were not carefully styled costumes, but worn and weathered garments that told their own stories of struggle and survival. The food in the fridge wasn't a prop. It was real. The kind of simple meals that fuel ordinary people with extraordinary dreams. The streets they filmed on were not fabricated sets, but living, breathing neighborhoods filled with people and life, full of sounds and smells and stories just like the one Stallone was telling. This wasn't a polished, glamorous Hollywood production. It was a gritty, raw portrait of struggle and hope. A film made by people who had nothing but their passion and an unshakable belief in their story. Stallone and his team showed the world that you don't need money, connections, or fancy tools to create something powerful. Sometimes all you need is courage, heart, and the refusal to let your circumstances define your destiny. Rocky was proof that even from the harshest beginnings, greatness can be born. And that story will resonate deeply with anyone who has ever dared to dream against the odds. Rocky's triumph, the miracle called belief. When Rocky premiered in 1976, it was more than just another film release. It was a bold gamble on a story and an actor the industry hadn't fully embraced. No one really expected this modest, gritty tale about an underdog boxer to break through the noise. The movie was made on a shoestring budget. The lead was an unknown with a scarred face and a voice that was anything but polished. Many doubted its potential, but sometimes the most unexpected stories ignite the deepest fires. Against all odds, Rocky became an unstoppable sensation. Word of mouth spread like wildfire. Audiences everywhere connected to the raw honesty and heart of this tale about fighting not just in the ring, but against the crushing weight of life itself. From a humble $1 million budget, Rocky exploded to earn an astonishing $225 million worldwide. This financial triumph was extraordinary, but it was only the beginning of a much greater story. The film's critical success matched its box office magic. It was nominated for 10 Academy Awards, an astonishing achievement for a film that nearly never got made, and won 3, including the most coveted award of all, Best Picture. Sylvester Stallone, the very embodiment of Rocky Balboa's grit and determination, went from obscurity to global stardom practically overnight. His story resonated deeply because it mirrored the very essence of human struggle, the fight to be seen, to be heard, and to claim one's place against overwhelming odds. Stallone's transformation from a struggling actor, rejected and overlooked, to a symbol of hope and resilience was nothing short of miraculous. He became an icon, not just of Hollywood success, but of raw, unbreakable spirit. Rocky wasn't simply a movie about boxing. It was a beacon for anyone who has ever faced adversity, felt alone in their battle, or been told they didn't belong. The film captured the fierce belief that within every person lies the power to rise, to persevere, and to triumph. In that triumph, Stallone showed the world that dreams aren't just fantasies. They're blueprints for survival, strength, and transformation. Rocky's story proved that with courage and unwavering belief, pain can be alchemized into power, scars into badges of honor. This miracle called belief didn't just change Stallone's life. It inspired millions to lace up their own gloves, step into their own rings, and fight for their dreams with every ounce of heart they had. Becoming a symbol. From Rocky to Rambo. Sylvester Stallone's rise did not stop after the groundbreaking success of Rocky. While many actors would have rested on the laurels of one iconic role, Stallone pushed forward with unrelenting ambition and heart. He returned to the ring with Rocky II and Rocky III, movies that deepen the saga of the underdog's fight, not just against opponents in the ring, but against life's relentless challenges. Each installment revealed more of Stallone's belief in perseverance, showing audiences that true victory is as much about spirit as physical strength. Yet, it was with the creation of Rambo, First Blood, that Stallone's career reached an entirely new level of cultural significance and emotional depth. Rambo was not merely an action-packed thriller. It was a powerful, emotional journey into the harsh realities faced by many veterans returning from the Vietnam War. Through John Rambo's character, Stallone shed light on the invisible wounds of war, the mental and emotional scars that linger long after the battles have ended. The movie captured the haunting grip of PTSD and the profound alienation felt by those who once served their country, but find themselves lost and misunderstood in civilian life. This was a story rarely told in Hollywood, and Stallone's courage to portray it gave voice to countless silent sufferers. The role of Rambo transformed Stallone from an actor known for his physical prowess to a symbol of human resilience and inner strength. John Rambo embodied a deep, complicated humanity, fierce yet vulnerable, broken yet unbowed. This complex character spoke to audiences on a universal level, the fight within each person to survive pain, trauma, and hardship. Stallone showed that heroism isn't about invincibility, but about the courage to confront one's demons and keep moving forward when the world seems determined to break you. Beyond the explosive action scenes and intense drama, Rambo revealed Stallone's own journey. It reflected his battles with rejection, loneliness, and the struggle for identity. Through this character, Stallone became an enduring icon, not just of strength and toughness, but of perseverance, hope, and the power of the human spirit to triumph over adversity. The cultural impact of Rambo cemented Stallone's legacy as more than a movie star. He became a beacon for anyone who has faced overwhelming odds. His story inspired millions who see themselves in the underdog, the warrior, the survivor. Stallone taught the world that our deepest wounds can become sources of strength, and that true courage means fighting on, even when the fight seems impossible to win. This chapter in Stallone's life is a testament to how art can reflect life's most profound struggles and transform them into sources of hope. From the ragged streets of New York to the silver screen, from a rejected actor to a global icon, Stallone's journey through Rocky and Rambo is a timeless reminder that no matter how dark the night, the dawn always breaks for those who refuse to give up. Legacy and lessons. Sylvester Stallone's life journey is not just a story of spectacular success, but a heroic anthem of perseverance and unbreakable willpower. He is not only a movie star, but a living symbol of unwavering self-belief, despite being rejected by society and pushed to the depths of pain and despair. From the days of homelessness and selling his loyal dog just to survive, to rising to fame with the role of Rocky, a character that embodies himself, Stallone proved that with persistence, you can turn your past wounds into the strength to conquer any challenge. His famous words, "It's not about how hard you hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward," are not just a reminder, but a fierce message for all of us. In every blow life deals, in every fall and hurt, it is how we rise up and keep moving forward that defines our true worth. No one is born perfect, and no path to success is paved with roses. What makes the difference is the courage to face hardship, endure pain, and persist even in the darkest moments. The legacy Stallone leaves behind is not just in Oscars or massive box office earnings, but in the timeless message of inner strength and resilience. He has inspired millions, those struggling against adversity, those feeling lost and hopeless, that all hardships are temporary, and anyone can be the fighter of their own story. Life is not measured by how many times you fall, but by how many times you stand up with a strong heart and hopeful eyes. Remember, no dream is too big, no challenge too great to overcome. If Stallone, a man once rejected because of his appearance and voice, can become a legend, then you can also write your extraordinary story. The only thing you need is faith and unyielding determination burning inside your heart. If Stallone's powerful and inspiring journey touched your heart, help us spread this fire by liking and sharing this video so more people can receive strength from this message. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to join us on more deeply meaningful and motivating stories ahead. Thank you for listening, and remember, you too can be the hero of your own life.